He's a Brit at least. And let's talk about a particular former Olympian, Chris Akibusi, whose torso we're looking at here. How was he as a model, shall we say? He's larger than life as a character.
And he's larger than I thought. He was in a relay team with one guy, I think he was 6'7", 2 6'5", and Chris was 6'2". So when I looked at him online, he was always the smaller one on the end. And when he arrived, and he's a big guy, he's strong and fit and tall, I ended up thinking, if I could have plaster cast. So that's the first thing. And then, and when I cast someone's torso, if that's his suit, so if I was casting you, I would send you an email in advance saying, if you're hairy, could you please shave? But at least a day in advance, because it was smart like hell otherwise. And he arrived hairy, we had to shave him. So it was, for him it was an uncomfortable experience. And Chris, if you know him, he doesn't stop talking or laughing. He's very funny. But during his casting, he was really quiet.
It can't be every day that you get covered in lovely, presumably, plaster.
It's plaster bandage.
Yeah.
So in the old days when we broke our arms as kids, that's what they used to wrap our arms in.
Presume there are other techniques to do it, and this happens to be just your technique.
And I also use different techniques depending on what I'm doing. I use alginates for some things, I use silicone for others. So, but mainly my idea is just to take an approximation of somebody's form. So that becomes my blank canvas, because if I'm going to carve a huge amount of detail on the surface, you actually give enough of the physical detail, so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. And we have Mr. Akibusi here in front of us. It's a beautiful piece. You must be delighted with the way it turned out.
Oh yes, yes. And actually, when I was before I cast Chris, his team came back to me and said, Chris thinks this is the wrong decade for you to do his body, because he was known as a six-pack person.
Yeah,
He was the body of the British sport. And I wrote back to say, once I've carved, it's got the Union flag on it, once I carve the Union flag, and whatever he wants on it, it's going to end up looking like armour.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. With my work, when I produce a piece of work on somebody, and they tell me about things that make them feel good about themselves, their passions or their achievements, that's their armour. It's the stuff that makes them feel good and strong about themselves. So that's what the work